What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, which you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow and the upcoming week for Tesla. I'm also going to talk about the overall market, what the news is saying about Tesla, what the Fed is doing, and what could end up affecting the market and Tesla going forward. I'm also going to end the video by talking about a tweet that Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend Elon Musk liked just a couple of hours ago, which is very good news for Tesla and really shows their expansion really going forward. Now, before I break anything down about Elon Musk, before I talk about what on earth is going on with Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. And not only benefits me, benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 10 free stocks, each worth up to $2,500. And the best part is, out of the 10 free stocks, 5 are going to come from the wheel right over here, meaning you could get 5 free Tesla shares, 5 free Apple shares, 5 free AMC shares, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. It ends in just 1 week. Check it out to get that free money before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at Tesla, this thing was up about 2.55% for the day overall. And the after hours, it's basically at zero as of right now, kind of trading sideways, but it doesn't matter too much. I want to talk about what happened today. So in my previous video, I did predict that we would see a bit of a red day after the news that came out. And it was a little surprising to see Tesla still end up green and kind of pushing up with the overall market. I did see the SPY in the NASDAQ closing green though, so that was predictable. I didn't think Tesla would close green, but it did. And I do see this as a bullish signal for the next couple of days. Tesla will probably push up a little more than this, but I still see a bit of a downward trend being respected from the overall grand scheme of things. So I'm going to make that very clear in this video. I want to talk about why on earth Tesla actually is doing better than expected. Now, I mentioned this in my previous videos. Tesla's deliveries did drop by about 18% in Q2 of 2022, but obviously the news is trying to twist this. The truth is it was because of supply chain issues, but mainly the factory shutdowns. But June was their best month ever, so they did actually have a nice bounce back, but overall deliveries were kind of red. So typically Tesla should have dropped when news like this comes out. I mean, we're well aware of how this would affect us. We ended up closing green, which is, like I said, a very, very good sign. Now, I predicted in my previous video, and my ranges were almost perfect. I predicted that Tesla would push up to maybe like the 700s, end up dropping to about that 640 to 650 range, get a nice bounce, then kind of close around here. Overall, what ended up happening was we dropped from the beginning, got a nice bounce, and basically rallied for the rest of the day, almost hitting 700. So even though my ranges were correct, the opposite ended up happening. Instead of pushing up and dropping, we ended up dropping and then pushing up. Now, what do I think is going to happen going forward? I do expect a bit of a continuation from here. Now, right now, when you look at the markets, we could see that the markets are a little bit fearful, but we were actually extremely fearful last week, and we were kind of shifting a little bit more in the fear direction. So I do see a little bit relief for the markets, maybe for just like a couple of days, or just for the rest of the week. I do see some relief for the markets, and I do think this is going to prop up Tesla and the overall market. Now, looking at SPY, very, very similar setup, and you could see Tesla was tracking SPY in the overall markets. They were all just moving together, the NASDAQ, the SPY, the QQQ. And what you'll see is we're trading in this range right over here. We do seem to have a little bit of room for upside because we did make a higher high towards the end of the day. Now, what could happen to SPY is we drop down to about that 378 range, get a nice bounce, and then continue to push on from here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see SPY end up touching that 385 range just temporarily for this week. Now, with the SPY doing that, NASDAQ, it's a very, very similar story. And I did mention that I thought NASDAQ would seem a little bit more bullish than SPY temporarily. And we're already seeing that the NASDAQ is pushing up even harder. Nice formation right here. It almost formed a double bottom kind of like formation. And another thing about the NASDAQ is we actually are continuing to push up to this key zone right here, which is 11,376. To me, it looks a little bit more bullish than bearish. Again, I do see a little bit more for temporary relief. Now, looking at the SPY and NASDAQ looking bullish, that's another bullish indication for Tesla. But I want to break this down in a different perspective. So look at the 2-hour candles. You'll see, and I apologize if this looks a little messy, Tesla has been respecting a downward trend since the start of the year. We're seeing this downward trend continuing. But more specifically, I drew these trend lines based off a more recent formation, and that's this right over here. We are still respecting a bit of a downward trend. Now, even though the overall trend is still in the downward direction, at least as of right now, look at moments like these. We still had moments where we actually pushed up like this. We had moments where we saw a nice move just like this and this. So I do see moments, or at least some moments of time, where the market and Tesla will begin to push up. And I do think that this is what Tesla is going to do. So we, in my opinion, are very close to testing the low 700s. We may even break past 715, touch 720, 730 very soon. But this is where we enter that very key zone. I want to see if this thing could break past that 730 range. I mean, if we break 730, this thing could actually turn kind of bullish, and this thing could actually push to that 750 very, very quickly. But I really don't see that happening. I think it's unlikely for the market to be that bullish, but I'm not going to be one to just be a doubter, right? It's still in the realm of possibility. Now, when it comes to what Tesla's doing, I think it's going to push up here, get a rejection, and it's kind of like a trap that's forming, and we might continue to see downside going into the month of July. And you already know why I think that. There are many reasons from what the Fed is doing, the overall market conditions. We have a lot of earnings coming out, the FOMC meeting between the 26th and 27th of July, the GDP report, which may end up announcing a potential recession. And we're seeing a lot of big markets out there still pricing in a higher, or I should say, a more hawkish Fed than many would have anticipated. So there are still some bearish signals for the market, particularly during the second half of July, in my opinion. And that's actually not that far away from where we are right now. So what does this mean for Tesla? Okay, this is where I'm actually going to break down the numbers for you. So right now, Tesla has some resistance at 700. I do think we're going to break past it. I mean, we're super, super close. We actually broke it in the after hours. So I do think tomorrow Tesla is going to be trading in the 700s. Now, the question is, how high are we going to go? And this is where I'm going to actually try to kind of calculate that. So the next key resistance zone is going to be 715 if we break past 700. And I do think Tesla has the potential to do that, but I would say this is more of a zone. So I would say between 715 to 720 is resistance. If we break those, then 730 is definitely a possibility. Now, do I really think Tesla is going to be that bullish? It's possible, but a little unlikely. I do think we may kind of get capped around that 720 range. Then again, I mean, sometimes this thing is just very bullish when you don't expect it. Very, very possible, but overall, I am leaning more towards the bullish side. Now, if this thing hypothetically starts dropping, if someone from the Fed, I think one of the Fed speakers is going to be speaking tomorrow, if they do announce something that just causes the whole market to plummet, which is very unlikely, I mean, there's nothing really new they could say that's just so surprising from this point. Tesla has support at 680, 666, 653, and so on and so forth. So what do I predict is going to happen? This is where I'm going to draw this out for you. What could happen tomorrow into opening is I think we could actually drop just, I'm sorry, we may push up a little bit like this. Tesla might actually push that 715 range, get a slight rejection off 715 to 720, trade a little bit sideways for some time. We might start to push up maybe in the middle of the day, touch 730. It is possible. I mean, it's going to be tricky, but it is possible before dropping a little bit. Trading sideways, essentially seeing some choppy price action, but closing a little bit in the green, maybe around that 710 range, 710, 711, somewhere around there. Tesla was notorious for doing this before, and I do think a move like this seems much more probable. Now, I did mention the possibility of downside. If the market is down, be on the lookout for those zones. The next key zone is 680, then 666, but I just don't see those really getting filled or touched right now. I think we're more likely to actually push up to about maybe 725, 720, around there. And I do think the market is looking a little bit bullish just temporarily. So once again, to break this down from the grand scheme of things, we are still respecting a bit of a downward trend unless we break past, I would say, the 735, 740 range. Then it's going to start looking kind of bullish, but so far, I'm not seeing Tesla do that just yet. As of right now, it does look like we might get a rejection off 730. So just be prepared for that, right? The market's still kind of choppy. There are many bearish potential signals coming out for July due to what's happening with the Fed, due to them possibly being even more hawkish. Maybe a lot of FUD that starts spreading over a potential recession being announced, I mean, that's going to be huge. So just be on the lookout, be prepared for that. But once again, this is essentially what I'm predicting. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about involves Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend. He actually liked the tweet right over here from Eva Fox. It states that Tesla Model 3s have been added to Dubai's taxi fleet as the manufacturer's vehicles performed well in a test run launched in 2017. Dubai aims to make 90% of its taxi fleet environmentally friendly by 2030. So this is another great piece of news for Tesla because it shows the cars are getting so much exposure all over the world in countries like Dubai. We may see them in way more countries going forward, and EVs are just growing and growing and growing. Elon Musk did like this tweet. It just goes to show how much this company is expanding and how massive it's going to be for the future as the entire EV sector begins to really increase going forward. With that said and done, just a quick reminder, yes, we are most likely still in a downward trend, but I do see some temporary relief before we actually continue to see downside. So be prepared for that. I wish the best for each and every one of you. I hope you had a great 4th of July weekend as well, and I hope you're, getting back into your zone, getting back to work. So stay strong, be safe, be prepared for anything. And I wanted to actually do one last thing before ending the video. That is, I want to look at what the Bollinger Bands are kind of showing and just some technical indicators because it has been a while since I've gone into more detail about these. Right now, it's the same thing. The Bollinger Bands are not suggesting Tesla's going to make an explosive move to like $800 just yet, which is why I don't think this big relief we're seeing is going to be that crazy. But right now, the MACD on the 2 hour time frame, we got a nice crossover right here from the signal line. This is just one indication that we are starting to show some bullish momentum. Then for RSI, let me see if this loads. RSI is starting to pick up a little bit, right? The RSI isn't necessarily staying stagnant. It's not kind of decreasing and showing bearish divergence. It's starting to improve as well, which in turn is showing Tesla's gaining strength and momentum. So right now, Tesla's looking more bullish than bearish. Let me see what the 1348 EMAs are also showing, just to make this a little brief. But with that said, it's looking more bullish than bearish, like I said before. So I did predict a bit of a green day for tomorrow, and I do think that many technical indicators are suggesting the same thing. We already got a nice 1348 EMA crossover on the 5 minutes. So right now, it does look like it's going to continue to push up. I think the opening should be more green than red. And I do think the relief is going to be temporary. With that said and done, I want to thank you all for listening. Please have a fantastic rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.